and welcome back to Don't Blame Me. This is my podcast. My name is Megan, and this is an advice podcast about me giving advice of your lives. The advice of your lives. It's like a terrible, terrible soap opera. Hi, guys, and welcome back. I don't even know what episode this is, but you've either been tuning in for a while. 13. Ooh, lucky number 13. Should we talk about Taylor Swift in this episode? I mean, probably not. Probably not going to come up. But yeah, thanks, guys, for tuning in. If this is your first time here, do you know how to count? 13 is, it has a 1 in it, but it's not the first episode. But yeah, this is my advice podcast where we go through and we listen to voicemails that you guys have left me telling me about things in your lives that you would like my sage words of wisdom on. And then I give you some very questionably terrible, somewhat bad, yet always entertaining and honest advice with you all. And if you haven't called in and left a voicemail, then your life is apparently going amazing and you don't need any help. And whoop-de-doo, so happy for you. Congrats. But if you are not going amazing if you're not going amazing all the time, I'm sorry, guys. I'm forgetting how to form sentences, but we're just going to be okay with it. The number that you guys want to call is 310-694-0976. Again, to leave me a voicemail, 310-694-0976. My gosh, we would love that. And guess what? If you're international, first of all, kudos, because you're not living in America. Sorry, guys, I have to burp. That's what happens. Trump he's coming through me. He's like, stop talking bad about me. If you guys are an international caller, we've had a lot of requests for you guys wanting to be able to leave voicemails too. And guess what? Now you can. If you guys recorded an MP3 on your phone or any other recording device, you can email it to us at meganpodcast@gmail.com. All the same rules and suggestions for your voicemail apply. Keep it under 3 minutes and give us a ton of context and detail about the things that you're dealing with in your life. It can even help if you write it down so you know exactly what you're going to say and you're not leaving out any details, because the more details that I have, the better the advice I have is going to be. Granted, the advice is not always going to be stellar, but I mean, you got a way, way better chance of it being somewhat good if I have a ton of information on the situation. So yeah, would love to hear from you and your sexy accents. Canadians, you count too. You have wonderful accents. Oh, they all hate me. Really want to try Tim Hortons. Okay, well, anyways. Okay, I'm going to stop blabbing. I really have nothing to update anyone on. Are you going
to be traveling anytime this year?
Oh my gosh, good. I should say the Jack's on here too. You guys might notice that there is a wonderful female voice here that's not Jack.
Hello.
It's Mel. Mel's always here, but this time she's got a microphone because Jack is under the weather. Boo, you whore. It's okay. We forgive him. But yeah, you're right, Mel. I am going somewhere. Actually, by the time this is out, maybe I'll have decided where I'm going. But the boyfriend and I, we have decided fuck Thanksgiving. We're not thankful for shit. Let's go on a trip. I'm kidding. We're thankful for a ton of things, but we're also strapped for free time. And we've been talking about wanting to travel really, really badly. And we just discovered this thing called Kayak Explore, #NotSpawn. But yeah, it's fantastic on finding trips. So right now we're potentially going to the Pacific Northwest, like the mountains, Seattle-ish area, or I'm hardcore, shamelessly trying to get someone to pay for us to go to Canada. And I'm down to pay for flights, but someone give us a place to stay in Canada. And I really want to go to Lake Louise, where all those Instagram travel people go, where they're in that kayak and they're holding someone's hand. Is that my fire alarm?
I think that was weird.
Wait, we're all wearing headphones. I'm did anyone hear it outside of the headphones?
Yeah.
Oh no.
It stopped.
Okay, everybody. You had a little bit of an intermission, but you probably didn't know. We actually took a field trip to Ralph's too. It was my carbon monoxide alarm that was going off, and I could lie to you and say I'm pretty sure we fixed it. We're not. It's still kind of going off. So we're just going to intermittently cut the beeps. I mean, Mel's going to cut the beeps in post. And we're all going to send some well wishes and hope that we're not all getting carbon monoxide poisoning. I think the battery's just low. We changed the battery. Nothing's really happening. But we got snacks. So I don't even know where we were. We were at the beginning of this, weren't we?
Yeah, we were at the very beginning.
Oh,
so
start at the very beginning.
Yeah, so we can just go for the calls.
Okay, guys. Yeah, well, all that hubble aside, let's get into the calls.
Hi, Megan. I am 15, and I am starting my sophomore year of high school. My school is really big. There's about like 2,000 kids that go to my school. I'm not trying to be like cocky or anything, but I'm more of a pretty girl. And I found that in the past, I hate dating with like all of my heart. I think it's a crock of shit, honestly. And I think it's a waste of time, especially in high school. And everybody at my school are kind of just like little horny teens. And everybody wants to just mess around. And I'm not here for it. But I don't want to shut down people if they want to ask me out. And I've just found that I'm not really just like into it. How should I go about going through high school without being really uncomfortable with dating and keeping people away? I know that sounds mean, but how do I like make sure that I'm not full of anxiety and stuff through high school with like a lot of peer pressure? I don't know if you're going to know what I'm like going at here, but yeah, just give me your advice as best as I can, because everybody that I know really likes dating and romantics, and I just don't. It's not my thing.
Okay, 2 bits of advice here. 1, I wouldn't be so quick to put yourself in a box and say that you hate all dating and romance kind of stuff, because I mean, if you've only ever had bad experiences with dating, you wouldn't be like, you know what's fun? Dating. And then secondly, so I think there's the 2 options where I'd say I would kind of just not put any pressure. If you're not putting any pressure on yourself, and if your friends put pressure on you, I say then address it. But I don't think you need to like outwardly push people away, because you might end up realizing that you actually might have feelings for somebody down the line, and you've kind of put up this like, no, I'm never going to date and do any of this stuff in high school kind of ban. That you might end up wanting to break and eat your own words a little while later. But at the same time, also there's you might be asexual, like, you might be aromantic and like not into it in that sense. Which, I mean, you can like know at any age. So there's no like, oh, it's a phase, you'll grow out of it. There's 2 options. Either maybe it is a phase and you'll grow out of it, or maybe like you're just aromantic and you're not interested in that kind of stuff. In which case, then I think you don't have to define yourself or identify as anything if you don't want to, and if you're not like ready or comfortable, because it's like your life and no one else. Whatever you decide to or not decide to label yourself as is your own. That's your own thing. But I think in that case, then I would just like make it clear with your like close friends and just be like, yeah, I'm not really like not interested in dating and romance, and I'm not waiting around for like the right person to come woo me and sweep me off my feet. I'm just like, I'm aromantic or asexual or anything like that. And that's just not something that I'm invested in. But you did say that like you just think dating in high school is pointless and kind of a waste of time. So if you think it's like an age thing and if you think eventually you'll want to get to the point where you want to date, you just don't really see the point of dating at this age, then I would just say kind of just take it as it goes. You might surprise yourself and other people might surprise you, and you might have some really great experiences with people and want to end up dating them, and then not wanting to be like, oh, well, I promised myself I wouldn't do this. So I think those are the 2 options. Either kind of, I guess, yeah, just more like overall, just try and figure out exactly what it is that you're not interested in. Is it like dating and romance as a whole for the rest of your life? Or is it you're like, I don't know why I would date someone in high school when we're not going to end up together forever and we're not going to get married, and it's just to like pass the time and it's distracting from school and all that kind of stuff. And if that's the case, I think a lot of people feel that way about like dating at that age. I definitely did not. I loved dating at that age, but I didn't like dating. Like I didn't like getting my heart broken and going out with guys and having awkward dates. Like I liked flirting and I liked like making out and all that kind of stuff, which I think is totally okay. But it's also really normal to not want to do any of that stuff in high school, and then go in college, then go into start dating and having it be normal and all that stuff. But I wouldn't worry ahead of it too much. I think if your friends are close friends and someone pursues you, you can just be outward with them and be like, oh no, I'm not interested in that. Like I'm good. Thank you though. But yeah, I think I would just kind of take it as it comes. And if someone musters up the courage to ask you out and you're not interested, you're allowed to say you're not interested. But I don't think you can kind of avoid like social things that involve other people. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. And she can still hang out with the same
Yeah.
guys as friends. It doesn't have to be a romantic thing.
No, and you also like you can't prevent them from liking you. So if someone likes you, you just have to get used to and getting okay with saying that you're not interested in somebody, which I also think is a fucking great skill to learn because there's for some reason, especially girls feel so fucking guilty if someone likes them or is like, but he like asked me to prom and he like did all of this stuff for me and like you don't owe anyone shit. If anyone, it's the same advice I give to people when they're telling their crushes that they like them, where I'm like, you have to do it for you. It cannot be conditional on what the person's going to say back. So I think you need to let other people kind of go through their own journeys and like discovery and figure out their feelings towards whether it's you or any other person. You can't really prevent that because that's their own journey. But you can control your participation in it. Okay, on to the next call.
My name is I'm 23 and I recently broke up with my boyfriend and well, he broke up with me if we're going to be specific. And I'm kind of just struggling with how to get over it. I tend to go a long time between significant others. And by a long time, I'm talking like 3 years, 2 years, somewhere in that ballpark. And I mean, I'm relatively successful. I'm going to grad school. I have a job, you know, all those kind of like good things that are kind of cornerstones in our society. But I'm kind of just struggling with the whole singleness and, you know, being okay with being single while also trying to meet new people. Also, how do you do that as an adult? In college, it's so much easier, but with grad school and jobs and stuff, it gets 10 times harder anyway. Any advice on how to live with the singleness, deal with heartbreak, and also, you know, find a boo, preferably male? That would be great. Thanks.
Oh my God, I'm so good at being single. I'm like fantastic at being single. I'm way better at being single than being in a relationship. Except now I'm killing this current one. First of all, sucks for the breakup. I'm so sorry. That's never fun at all. Advice on being single. Well, I think there's a couple of different like routes to go on when you're single, I think that are important. I think I'm a huge fan of the like rebound phase, not even necessarily following through with the rebound, but whether it's just texting somebody who it reminds you that like, oh, I'm pretty, like I'm cute, I know how to talk to people. People can still have like feelings for me. This last relationship isn't like, oh, the only person who will ever like me like that. It's nice to kind of be recognized as I don't know, like just recognized as like a sexual being again. And you're like, oh, I forgot what this is like because I'm so used to being in a relationship. So I think whether that's like texting somebody or, I don't know, hooking up with an old flame doesn't add to your number. Not that there's anything wrong with adding to your number. But even just going out with your friends and going to a bar and flirting with people. It can be as innocent or as like having follow through as you want. But I think that's important. Because it also helps you not just settle down with the next person who tells you you're cute because you're actually getting like more feedback from people. No, you're getting like more exposure to like other single people and all that kind of stuff. I think hanging out with single friends, that's super important. If like your best friend's in a relationship, no offense to her, you just probably should not be spending a ton of your free time with her and her boyfriend because that kind of creates that like massive hole of like, oh, I'm not in a relationship. But you have to remember like there's so many single people in the world at all times, and the friendships that you probably had with your friends when they were single and you were in a relationship, they're not bringing you on all their single girl trips and all their single girl fun stuff. So participate in that kind of stuff, and it's important because you have like wingmen and wing women and all that kind of stuff when you're talking to people. And then the other part of singleness, I think it's really important to find stuff that you like and kind of like reignite your own solo passions, or like start a new hobby, take a new class, or do stuff that's like completely and entirely selfish, especially when relationships get rocky. But just in relationships in general, you spend a lot of time doing things for other people that's for the benefit of both parties, or just being selfless and doing stuff for somebody else. And I think we can kind of lose direction, track of like putting ourselves first. So whether that's like you never really got your nails done as much and now you're like, oh, I want to go get my nails done like every other week, doing stuff like that. Or like I've always wanted to start a trashy TV show or do that, or reading a book, or like going, not even like spending money on stuff, but like taking an art class or traveling or visiting for like family from out of town, doing the stuff that you're like, oh, my significant other never wanted to do this, or this is something that I always wanted to do but could never find the time or the justification for doing it because it's just for me. So I think finding something like that's also really good because it puts the value back in yourself, and you remember that you exist not to just build somebody else up, that you can do it for yourself too. And then I think there's the grieving process too, which like I think is something that you kind of have to deal with. And I think a good amount of time of being single before it's okay to, or before, I think this is just, again, this is all my personal view on stuff. I think there needs to be a break between dating people. And I'm also just like you in the sense of like, I would go single. I would like date someone. I would have like a spur of like dating. And then be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going cold turkey from dating. I refuse to date anyone for like a year. And then I'll jump back in a relationship or something like that. But I'm very much that same way. But I think when it comes to like the process of getting over a heartbreak, you have to go through, it's like, I don't know, it's like the steps program and all that stuff. Like you have to go through the sadness. You have to go through the missing it and all that kind of grief. And you have to go through like the blame of like putting all the blame on the other person and hating them. And then when you get to the point where you can look at it and you're like, I don't hate this person and they did some bad things, but I'm also guilty of doing some other things. And this relationship, when you're able to look at it in the sense of both parties are at fault and both parties messed up, but both parties like tried, and you don't hate yourself and you don't hate him, and it's nobody's fault that you broke up except both of you are equally guilty. I think that's when you can start dating again, because I think if you start dating when you're angry and pissed off and that they did all of these things wrong, the people that you're starting to like pursue just aren't the greatest people, because you're just like, they're going to be totally opposite from my ex, and my ex is the worst person ever. But your ex probably isn't the worst person ever because you dated him for a certain amount of time and you guys probably had some stuff that you would never want character traits in a different person you date now, but there's definitely probably some good things. And then you also don't want to start dating someone when you put all the blame on yourself, when you're like, I messed up, I'm terrible, why did I let him go? And then you're going to start clinging on to whoever gives you attention next. So I think when you can look at both parties being guilty, I think that's a good time to start dating. And then I'm also the worst person to ask, because I would just have set crushes, not follow through with them, go on one dating app date, and then hook up with guys from high school, and then I then meet people on set, and then I started dating someone who I used to work with. And that's where I'm at.
I'm just going to pick back off what you said about like going and doing things that you like. If you go do and think things that you like going to an art class,
you might meet somebody
there and they like doing the same type of things that you like to do.
That's smart. Yeah. I mean, being single's hard. Also, grad school, focus on that too.
Right.
You got shit going on, girl.
Right. And there might be people in grad school, too, that you might be interested in dating.
Mm-hmm. You might maybe run your nose.
Yeah. Or go to somewhere to study.
Oh, the library, the quad.
A coffee shop, somewhere close. And there might be somebody you're interested in there, too.
Oh, that is very true. Yeah, you'll be fine. It sucks. Breakups are terrible and shitty. And it's also weird when you're an adult, too. Because you're like, oh, this is odd. Because you can also never have to see that person again, but then also might see them randomly, and it's not like school, and it's all a stressful thing. But hey, I did it. I got in a relationship in LA, and that was, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Because I'm incompetent when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, I think we're tit for tat for that.
Hey, you'll be good, girl.
Yeah,
you'll survive. On to the next call.
Hey, Megan. I'm a 18-year-old girl. I recently got set up by one of my really close friends who is dating this other guy's best friend. And so I've already known him for like 4 years now or something. I've known him all throughout high school, and now I'm graduated, but he's a year older than me. I'm really freaking awkward, and I've never done anything with a guy. Like, I've never had a boyfriend or anything like that. We've been going on some dates. Like, we've gone on a double date and stuff, but like nothing's happened yet. Like, we haven't kissed or anything, and he's been noticeably trying to find reasons to like make, I don't know, a connection with me or something, and like touch my thigh or shoulder or like rub my back, like very casually and stuff like that. And I've only like patted his shoulder once, and like I literally do nothing because I just don't know what to do. I really like him, and I think he likes me too. I know he's already had some girlfriends in the past, and I know he has experience with like getting physical and things like that. And I'm worried that I'm not expressing like the fact that I like him enough. I guess what I'm trying to say is, how can I ease myself into making more gestures and like touching him more or showing him that I really am interested?
I would first say that sounds terrible. No matter how experienced a guy is, it doesn't mean that he is no longer awkward. And it doesn't mean that because a guy is hooked up with girls or had girlfriends, doesn't mean that like he is freaking 50 Shades of Grey man, super confident, knows what he's doing all the time. Like you can have like sexual partners and girlfriends and still be super awkward and have no idea what you're doing. So I wouldn't put yourself on such a different level as him. And the physical experience stuff, if he's a good guy and he's cool and all that stuff, he's really not going to mind that you're not super confident in all that stuff because you don't have a ton of experience. I think if you like him, I think the best way I'm very into the self-deprecating, very self-aware sort of thing, and I'm always awkward. But if I was in that situation, I would just straight up, if you're hanging out one night until and be like, hey, I'm just gonna be straight with you. I think you're cute and I really like you, and I don't know how to be I don't know how to like express that I'm into you. I'm like definitely not very experienced in that kind of stuff. And I don't want to give you the wrong idea that I'm not interested in you, but I don't really know how to like show it. And I just like, I feel weird because I'm not that experienced. And I think if you can say that and just get that out of the way, then he not only will you be able to tell if he's like a good guy and he's like, oh, okay, no, it's totally fine. But then it also kind of for him, he's not going to read too much into anything that you're doing because he's like, oh no, she's just like not used to doing this kind of stuff. So I think if you're comfortable saying that, oh God, I'm burping in your question. I'm burping into your question. I think if you're comfortable saying that, I think that's really, really good. And it's also just like kind of just opening the door for a way more candid conversation. And it's not kind of not leading him on, but not, I think getting it out of the way, because no matter what, if you guys end up getting like more, you get closer and all that stuff, the conversation will have to happen that you're not experienced intimately. And I think it's better to kind of start off with that early on as opposed to just being like, psych, before you put it in, I'm a virgin. Like, I think that can be a little rattling. And then also you don't want to get that invested if you find out that he's like just another douchebag. But then I would say if you want to just kind of like bite the bullet and be like, I'm just going to like try and be more physical with him. I think it's sweet if you can. I mean, I love you, girl. Don't pat him on the shoulder. That sounds like it sounds like a dog. Don't do that. I mean, you can. Maybe it's more of a rub. Maybe it's a little more romantic than I'm picturing. I was patting the chair when I was listening to your question and I was pretending I was you. That's weird. I know. If only you could see me. But I think, yeah, if you can, if he puts his hand on your leg, maybe you just repeat what he's doing. So he puts his hand on your leg and then you do that like an hour later or something like that. Whatever he's doing to you and you feel comfortable with that kind of stuff, you don't have to get creative, just reciprocate. And then I think from there, it'll kind of slowly build. And I don't know if you guys have been on like solo dates without your friends and all that stuff, but I think that kind of, you're going to feel so much more comfortable being physical with him when your friends aren't there. There is a sort of thing where you're like, I feel like I don't want my friends to see me hardcore flirting with somebody. This feels a little weird. I'm not totally used to it. I think if you guys can separate yourself and have some alone time, I think you'll find that it comes far more naturally because you don't feel like everyone's fucking watching you and staring at you. We all start inexperienced, and even the most experienced person, once you get into a relationship with somebody else, it's a whole different ballgame. And there's really, every relationship is different with like the intimacy stuff and all that thing. So I wouldn't say it's fair to super compare yourself because he might be terrible in bed and then you might be fucking amazing and then you'll teach him everything and you didn't even know you could be a teacher, or you don't sleep with him. But I don't know, right?
Yeah, I always like the old pick the imaginary lint off of them.
Pick the imaginary, what the fuck, man?
You just pick it and it's kind of like a little graze and rub.
No, I don't know what the fuck you mean. I'm literally pinching my chair like that.
Like,
oh, Okay. So okay. I thought this was one of those things where it's like the Cabbage Patch dance move where you've just named it something, but you literally mean imagine that there's lint on him and you're picking it off. I was like, is this a hand? I thought this was like a romantic hand gesture. You mean, okay. So that's actually a good idea. It's like pretend there's a hair on his shoulder or like some lint. That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were just like clasp your hand and look like you're the claw machine on his shoulder.
Two fingers.
And
then
like
a little rub.
That's fucking good. Also, now I wonder if I've been giving off mixed signals because I do that to everybody where I'm like, there's something on you and I'll get it off. Hey,
yeah.
That's a really good one. Wow. Okay. Mic drop by Mel over here. Yeah, do that. And then you guys need to have your first kiss. I want to hear about it. Oh!
Call us back.
Yeah, please do. I'm excited. Okay, you'll be fine. This is great. This is all exciting. This is all good. Oh, I cannot wait to hear about your first kiss. Or your first other stuff. No pressure. No pressure. Okay, on to the next call.
Hey Megan, I'm 17 years old, and in case you couldn't tell from my accent, I'm from New Zealand, and I was hoping you could help me out with a little dilemma I have. So, a little backstory, I recently lost my virginity to this guy at a party, and it's just been really awkward ever since, because he doesn't want a relationship or anything, which I don't really mind because I'm in my last year of high school and heading off to uni and stuff next year, and I don't really want a boyfriend, but like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like I haven't got that closure because he won't talk to me about it. And so I just haven't got closure in that sense, I feel. And it's also just quite awkward because we're both in the same friend group. So we share a lot of the same friends actually. And my best friend is his best friend's girlfriend. So we see each other a lot, I feel like, at least once a week. And we actually haven't seen each other since the incident in question. And I feel like he's been avoiding me. But then at the same time, I guess I've been avoiding him because I just don't really know what to do. Obviously, I've never been in a situation like this before and, yeah, don't really know what to do about it.
First of all, I really like your accent. Okay, here's what I'd say. I don't really believe in closure. I don't really think it's a thing. I think when we're searching for closure, it's kind of like, it's like there's the answer and what you think is right in front of you and a big poster board. But there's this other thing in the corner that is like in your dream ideal world. And closure really just means I don't want it to be this very obvious thing that it probably is. I want it to be that 1% chance of a thing. And closure is usually trying, just ridding yourself of that, like, oh, maybe it means this. So I think if you really, really, really want to talk to him about it, I mean, what's the drinking age in New Zealand? All of my advice, I'm like, get drunk. I mean, you lost it was at a party. So let's just say in another party situation, I would bring it up with him super casually. I wouldn't bring it up in,
is it 18?
It's 18. Okay. Were you senior? Yeah, she's going to uni.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, uni. Love that, by the way. Not university in general, just the way you say uni. I would say bring it up. If you feel the need to bring it up to him, bring it up in a similar setting to where it happened. So at another party or something like that, where it's really casual and it's not like a, hey, let's sit down and talk about all this kind of stuff. I think even though it feels important to you right now, I think if you can bring it up in a way that's, because you're even saying that you don't know if it's you avoiding him or him avoiding you. I think if you say like, hey, actually, you know what? This is my other thing. What do you want? Like, what do you want out of this? You're saying that you're going to university and that you don't really want a boyfriend going into all this kind of stuff. And you guys weren't dating. So what's the goal? What is it that you want here? And I think you're kind of aware of like the attachment that you think that you're just feeling just because you had you lost your virginity to him. But I don't know. It depends on what you want out of it. Like if you have actual legitimate feelings for him, I don't think having sex is solidifying that. I think you would have known that you've had those feelings before sleeping with him. So maybe those feelings have always been dormant and they've always been there. And then I say, then if you need to talk to him and then you're like, hey, I just like want to feel like we should just like address what happened. I had a great time. Or not, just tell me you had a great time. Don't be like, by the way, it sucked. Like, I had a great time. And I don't know where you're at, but I would love to like just hear what you're thinking about this, just candidly, so we can have a open conversation. I know school's going to be ending soon, so I'd rather us just not beat around the bush and kind of just like get straight to the point. So saying something like that, I think totally works. But then if you're not interested in him, but you just kind of want him to be interested in you, which I'm not shitting on you for, because that's 100% something I would do, where I'm like, I don't really like this guy, but I want him to like me. And now I'm upset because I'm not getting him. He's not liking me, even though I don't really, really like him. Then I think it's kind of just like letting time sort of pass and deal with that stuff. And then I would also talk to your friends. If you're in the same mutual friend group, you can always do the sneaky thing of being like, hey, can you ask your boyfriend to find out about what he said about him and I hooking up, and if he like what he's thinking about it, and then you can find it out that way. So it's a little bit more like closure and getting it straight from the source, but through a small game of telephone with people that you trust. That's what I would say. And then I would also say losing your virginity can be a major deal if you want it to be a major deal, but it also really doesn't have to be. It's also super subjective to like what virginity even is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like especially if you look at it in terms of like not just like heterosexual couples, like losing your virginity doesn't mean like popping your cherry or whatever, anything like that. It can really be up for whatever you want it to mean. And as much as someone can be your first, they're far less important than your last person that you sleep with. Like, the amount of times I think about the guy that I lost my virginity to is slim to none. Like, and that was someone that I was in love with and dating and all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't say that I regretted losing it to him, but I also wouldn't say that like he's this very special person because of that, because he doesn't have anything. It's not like you're giving something away to somebody else. Like, you just chose to have sex. There's no tangible thing of virginity, and it's not something that he possesses. It's definitely like a personal choice to like choose to be like, I'm gonna go do this and I'm gonna have fun and all that kind of stuff. And just because he's your first doesn't mean he needs to be super important. So if you have feelings for him, I would say try figure out if he's got those same feelings back. And then if not, and you just want him to, you're just kind of wondering what things are, then you can be candid, but also just be ready for the answer. If you're not ready to hear what he has to say, think of the worst possible response. And if you're not ready to hear that, then I would just kind of move on from it and then hook up at another party and then be like, well, whatever, still going to university later. You'll be fine.
Right. And if you guys are friends and then you have the same group of friends, you're going to have to talk to him eventually.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't want it to be awkward. So just do it.
Yeah, no, that is true. Because you don't want it to be like all getting lunch one day and you're sitting next to each other and he's like, do you want me to butter your muffin? And you're like, oh God, you'll be fine. It'll all be okay. It'll all be okay. Virginity. Fun times.
Fun times.
Fun times. Okay, guys, we are going to take a break. So braid your hair, knit a sweater. No, knit a sweater because it won't be that long and we'll be right back. This episode of Don't Blame Me is brought to you by you. You did it. You done good, kid. Congrats to you. You're awesome. What the hell am I talking about? Well, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you. So this episode, this is basically me thanking you guys for leaving such awesome reviews on the Apple Podcast app. I would love if you could continue to do so, because not only do they make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, but they help other people find this podcast, which means we get more ears listening, which means we get to record more episodes and everything like that. So if you love this podcast, we would love if you could express your love in the form of stars and words. And speaking of stars and words, I'm going to not read you the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I'm going to read you some of my favorite, or not even my favorite, just some random reviews that I've scrolled and found on the reviews of Don't Blame Me. Best podcast for teens. All the topics and questions are so relatable and so beneficial to me, especially being a teenager. This is the first podcast that I've listened to and I haven't been able to put down my phone. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done catching up. Keep it up. Oh, thank you. That means so much. I'm so glad. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is also like an RIP because Jack is sick today. Love Meghan and Jack. This podcast is so funny and the advice is always good. The dynamic between her and Jack is also so great. I love it. This is oh my God, this is another good one. Sorry guys, I'm on a roll with all these compliments. I'm getting high from it. Must Listen by Mr. Oink the Cow. Also, I'm really curious why Oink and Mr. are capitalized, but the cow's not. But there's no parentheses. It's not like Mr. Oink. By the way, he's a cow. It's just like Mr. Oink, the cow. I remember that last one where I said I'm not judgmental and I don't laugh at people. Fuck, it's happening. I listen to her podcast while driving, doing laundry, or just laying around, and she gives fantastic advice. 10 out of 10 recommend this to everyone I know. Also, she's the best podcast voice, which is just a bonus. Is anyone else picturing a cow doing laundry? Oh, I love it, guys. And I also just I love that these usernames you've always had to have. Like, these are your Apple usernames. You didn't have to create this. Oh my God. Also, this is a good one. I feel stupid, ... But I love the podcast by Complicated. And 8, it's an 8, like complicate with an 8-tid. Dude, I feel so stupid. It took me about a week to figure out how to rate this. Anyway, though, I love the podcast. Also, the only podcast I've ever listened to, along with your YouTube channel. I love listening to people's problems, then the advice you give them. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. And also, guys, it's attainable and relatable. You might not know how to make a review on the Apple Podcast app, neither did Complicated. It's a little complicated. All you do is go through, you click rate, and you press the stars, and then do you want to leave some feedback? And you can. So I hope you guys enjoyed my dramatic reading. Oh, maybe next time I'll do an actual dramatic reading of your reviews, or I'll sing them. If you have any requests, let me know on the Twitter and I can potentially maybe do that. But anyways, we're going to stop talking about how great my podcast is, and we're going to get back to my podcast, which is pretty great. Okay, get ready for more of my voice. It's happening in 3, 2, 1, blast off. Hey yo, we are back again. Time for another question. Okay, play.
Hi, Megan. This is. I'm 19, and I'm going to start my sophomore year of college on Monday, so in about a week. And basically, right before I left, I slept with this guy. I'd been talking to him for about a year, and I just kept ignoring him because I like focusing a lot on my athletics and my school. And I was kind of talking to him, but anyway, I slept with him right before I left back for home. And we've been kind of talking the entire summer, but I didn't want to make anything official because we literally slept together a few times, but in a week. Anyway, I have to go. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to see him when I get back to school because we have a lot of mutual friends and everything. And I don't know if he wants to keep talking to each other or if he doesn't want to keep talking to each other, because we've talked to each other a lot this summer, but until recently. So I don't know how I should approach him or the situation when I get back. Thanks. Bye.
I just got to ask him, hey, do you want to keep talking, or are you not interested in me anymore? I think that's really it. There's not a lot of gray area here. Does he go to your school? Yeah, he goes to your school. So you slept together right before summer. Then there was summer. You didn't see each other all summer, and now you're going back to school and you will see him. Yeah, I mean, I think ask him if or just say how you feel. I think that's a better question. Because how do you feel? Do you want to date him, or do you want to be in a relationship? Do you like him? I think being curious about how he feels about you, I totally understand that. But unless you know how you feel, I don't think it's really fair to ask him where he's at, because, yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows where you want to be? Are you still in the same mindset where you don't really want to start dating? But I think if it's more just oh, why isn't he talking to me anymore? Then I think it's something you kind of just have to take and just be okay, well, whatever. Either cut your losses or bite the bullet and ask him straight up what's up, but then be prepared to have to answer what's up with you too. Do you know what I mean? Be prepared to answer how you feel and what you're looking for, because two parties in this. It's not just him being interested in you anymore. It's like, are you interested in him? Like, you get as much of a say in a future between you two as he does. So I would, yeah, if it was me, I would just be super blunt. But that's how I would do it. And I would do it before you see him. I would text him, so you don't have to have that, like, what if you see him and like he looks really cute and you're like, oh my God, we're gonna start dating, and then it's like Legally Blonde, and then like Selma Blair just like comes out and just like there, and it's like, oh, we're engaged, and you're like, oh, why did I go all the way to Harvard for this? I could have just texted Warner and asked him if he was seeing someone else. I would do that.
Yeah. And if you don't actually like him, but you just want to hook up with him, do that too.
Just do that too. And get on that same page too. There's nothing more liberating than talking to someone and have you both just want to be friends with benefits. And you're like, oh, great. There's no guesswork here. I don't have to try. This is easy. I think I'd be candid. Cool. On to the next one.
Hi, Megan. So I am 20 years old and I live with my ex-fiance. So that sounds weird, and it is. But he's my best friend. It's fine. Like, nothing weird. We're not sleeping together, whatever. But I kind of have a thing for one of his best friends. Like, he was supposed to be one of his groomsmen. And I don't know, like, I kind of like him, and I kind of like want to see if anything like would go anywhere. And he does like come over and hang out and whatever, but like he will never come over whenever my ex is here, obviously, because they're friends. But like, he doesn't want him to know or anything. And I kind of just don't know how to like go about it, like with him and like with my ex, and kind of be like, hey, like, you know, I really see potential here. Like, what should I do? How should I like handle addressing like both of those? Because neither of them like know that. I mean, like, the guy knows that I live with my ex, but my ex doesn't know that the guy and I are hanging out. So I just need advice.
Don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. Just don't even open up that can of worms. Shut that can that you've started to open. Don't fucking do it. Oh, yeah. This is just, it's, I say this as if, I'm just going to treat this as if you were like, and I do this with a lot of these questions, as if you were my best friend coming to me with this advice. And I say this out of love. You just can't do that. It's not, it's not a romantic comedy kind of situation where I've been referencing a lot of The Family Stone, where you show up and you fall in love with the brother and everything's okay and all that kind of stuff. It's just not. It's really not. It's super shady for your ex-fiance's friend in general. Like, it's just a display of really shitty friendship, where for me, I would never be able to get into a relationship with somebody who I could so clearly see disrespecting their friendships. I'm like, that just, I don't think is a positive thing in his personality. And then I also just don't think, there are so many great guys in the world that aren't friends with your ex, that like that aren't involved in the situation, and you're potentially ruining a friendship between them, and then ruining the friendship between you and your ex. And all of this is for a maybe possibly having feelings. It's not someone that you are in love with and all of that kind of thing. And the likelihood that it like would succeed and all of that stuff. I think in a perfect world, if you guys were going to end up together and like he was your soulmate, maybe your ex would understand, but it's so much more likely that like it's not going to be that. And then you've ruined bromance and an actual friendship that you and your ex have managed to keep for this other guy, which I just don't think it's worth it. And I also think that this shit happens all of the time. The amount of time that I have like had breakups with someone and then been like, but their friend is kind of cute. And it's like, it's on me because it's I'm not expanding my bubble because I'm like, well, I'm comfortable in this friend group and I'm comfortable in this kind of area. And there's also that little vindictive side of you that is kind of like, oh, maybe this will piss him off. And not that I'm saying that you would do this. I'm saying purely based on my personal experience that sometimes it comes from like, I don't want to get out of my comfort zone in the circle of people that I'm friends with. And I like staying in this friend group. So how can I root myself with somebody else here? And then there's also that moment of being like, you know, and it also feels kind of awesome to like know that my ex's friend has always thought I'm hot. And the whole time that him and I had been dating, he like always had a little bit of a thing for me. That's a confidence booster. And there's nothing wrong with liking that feeling. But I just think it's a can of worms you don't really want to open. And it's a lot of pressure to put on your relationship with this guy if you ended up starting dating, because you guys both risked and would have lost so much for this that you're so fucking invested in this. And what if you don't end up actually really having feelings for each other? I think it just puts an unnecessary amount of pressure. And it's not, if you were in this situation and your ex and you broke up and he started dating like one of your best friends or like your sister or your cousin or something like that, like it would feel shitty. And it's just kind of one of those things like, why? Like, why of all people in the fucking world you decide to pursue a casual relationship with somebody so tight-knit to both of us? I just personally don't think it's worth it. I would separate yourself from the friend group as much as possible and cut ties with this guy as well, and then really pursue being single for a while, because it's like out of being like engaged, that's a big deal, and then try and pursue relationships amongst people who aren't so involved with your ex, and also get a new apartment.
Right.
Like move out. That's
Yeah.
just like, that is just like a confrontation waiting to happen.
Exactly. If he's sneaking over to see you while your boyfriend's while your
Yeah.
ex-fiance isn't there, what if he comes home?
Exactly. And also, that's a shady dude.
Mhm.
That's a shady bro. Like that's imagine being a girl doing that. Like I would never fucking do that to any of my friends. And I think that sort of respect, even though it's in his like bromance, like bro friendship, that sort of respect will translate to his relationship with the females in his life and the people he has romantic interest with. So someone who does not respect their friendships in that way, that's not, yeah, like that's so breaking all of bro code. I would never trust a guy like that, because if a girlfriend of mine did that and started like hooking up with my ex, I would be behind if we were, oh my God, imagine you're roommates with a girl. She's your best friend. And let's just pretend you're roommates. No, you're roommates with your ex-boyfriend, fiance, and one of your best friends is sneaking over in the middle of the night to hook up with your ex. Like, that's shitty on both of their parts.
Mm-hmm.
But that's definitely super fucking shitty on the front.
Right. And then you walk in on them.
Oh, can you imagine?
Right. Because like he lives there, so he's gonna come home.
Yeah. And he has a key. You can't
Right.
even buy yourself 10 seconds of time. Okay, guys, that is it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you should leave us a lovely review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star. I'm an Uber and I'm asking for it. I need to stop burping in this fucking episode. I'm disgusting. If you guys, I would really, really, really love some caller responses. We've had a couple of people who've called in with their own personal feedback on questions, which is awesome. Not that I'm saying I don't want that anymore, but I really want someone to call back in who has dealt with something that we talked about in a different episode, and I want to hear the conclusion, or I want to hear at least like a little bit more of the story or what's happened since. So if you guys want to call with some follow-ups, you can leave voicemails at 310-694-0976. Again, the number is 310-694-0976. And you can also, again, leave your feedback and then call again with more questions or topics or advice stuff that you guys have or things that you need my sage wisdom. Why do I keep saying sage wisdom?
Because you're old.
Because I'm old as fuck. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you're an international caller, which 2 of these calls were, guys, so if you want to be cool like the international callers, you know how they called in? They recorded an MP3 and emailed it to meganpodcast@gmail.com. And that's how we played it. And they followed all the same rules. They kept their calls under 3 minutes, I think. And they gave me a lot of context and a lot of all that stuff. And if you're ever frustrated with yourself of not being able to get your words concise, you can always write down what you're going to say and then read it on the voicemail. There's nothing wrong with that. I can totally tell when you guys are reading too. I love it. I don't know why. I think it's just like the sweetest, most endearing thing. But yeah, I would love to hear from you guys, international or not. I still love the American listeners. I almost said the Americas. I'm just sound like Chris Columbus. The Americas. Chris Columbus. We're bros. I don't call him Christopher anymore. Besties. Okay, guys. Yeah. Enjoyed this fucking titties. Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will be talking to y'all in 2 weeks. Okay, goodbye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me, produced and directed by Jack Ferry, associate producer Melissa DeMons, edited by Melissa DeMons, post-production sound by Chris Henry, and music by Giacomo Picasso and Ryan Hunter. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and don't blame me if your life bursts into flames before then.